A basic timber privacy fence. 6 feet tall, nothing decorative, just boards and posts. Installed professionally, $3,000, $5,000, in some areas more. And that is before you factor in what happens in 10 years when the posts begin to rot, the boards warp and split, and the whole thing starts leaning in a way that somehow looks worse than having no fence at all. You spend thousands, you get a structure that degrades, you spend more to replace it. Now consider the alternative, a living fence. Trees planted in a deliberate line that grow into each other, fill in from top to bottom and become denser, taller and more effective with every single year that passes. Not degrading, improving. While a timber fence is rotting, your living screen is getting better, thicker, fuller, more private, and simultaneously more beautiful, more valuable to wildlife, and in some cases, more valuable to your property. 6 trees that do exactly this. All of them available for a fraction of the cost of a fence. All of them plantable this season. All of them growing toward the privacy you want right now. And number 4 on this list is the fastest privacy solution I have ever seen in a garden situation. In 2 seasons. From a small sapling to a screen that genuinely works. Let's get into it. Tree 1, Lion Cypress. Number 1 is Leyland Cypress. And Leyland Cypress is on this list first because it is the most widely used, most widely available, and most reliably fast-growing privacy tree in temperate gardening. When people need a screen quickly, this is what most nurseries will point them toward. And for good reason. Leyland cypress grows fast, 3 to 4 feet per year, under good conditions. Dense, fine-textured evergreen foliage that holds its colour year-round, providing 12-month visual screening from the day it starts filling in. A row of Leyland cypress planted at 5 to 6 feet apart will create a solid, impenetrable green wall within 3 to 4 years. The trees themselves can ultimately reach 60 feet or more if left unmanaged, which is why the most important thing I want to tell you about Leyland cypress is that management is not optional. You need to trim it every year. Keep it at the height and width that works for your space. An untrimmed Leyland cypress hedge is the source of more neighbour disputes than almost any other plant in suburban gardening. It gets huge. It shades everything around it. It becomes a problem. Trimmed annually to a reasonable height, 10 to 15 feet. It is one of the most effective, most affordable privacy screens available. Hardy in zones 6 through 10, full sun to partial shade. Any reasonable well-draining soil. Fast, evergreen, effective. Just give it the annual attention it needs, and it will give you decades of reliable privacy. Tree 2, Emerald Green Arbor Vitae. Number 2 is Emerald Green Arbor Vitae. And emerald green is the answer for the gardener who wants Leyland cypress privacy without the Leyland cypress maintenance commitment. Where Leyland grows large and fast and needs consistent trimming, emerald green is naturally narrow, naturally columnar, and stays within a manageable size range, typically 10 to 15 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide, without annual shearing. The growth rate is slower than Leyland, 1 to 2 feet per year, but the form is so clean, so naturally tight and upright, that what you get without any effort looks like what you would achieve with Leyland cypress after years of careful trimming. The foliage is rich, bright emerald green, fine-textured, dense. It holds that colour beautifully through winter when some evergreens are bronze or dull. Planted 4 feet apart in a row, emerald green arborvitae creates a formal architectural privacy screen that looks designed, looks intentional, and looks expensive. It is not expensive. Small specimens are readily available at garden centres at a fraction of the cost of fence panels. And unlike fence panels, they get better every year. Hardy in zones 3 through 8. Full sun to partial shade. Moist, well-drained soil. Consistent moisture in the first 2 seasons accelerates establishment. The low-maintenance privacy screen that looks higher maintenance than it is. Tree 3. Bamboo. Clumping varieties. Number 3 is bamboo. And I know what some of you just thought. Bamboo, that stuff that takes over everything, that spreads underground and comes up through the neighbour's garden. I understand that concern completely, but I am talking specifically about clumping bamboo, not running bamboo. This distinction is critical. Running bamboo spreads aggressively by underground rhizomes and absolutely will invade everything around it. Do not plant running bamboo as a hedge unless you have a physical root barrier installed. Clumping bamboo is different. Clumping varieties, Fagesia in particular, and specifically Fagesia murielae and Fagesia nitida, grow in tight, contained clumps that expand slowly outward at the base with no underground running. They will not invade the garden. They will not come up in the lawn. They will not reach the neighbour's yard. What they will do is grow into a dense, graceful, genuinely beautiful screen that moves in the wind in a way that no fence, no conifer and no wooden panel can replicate. Fuchsia varieties are cold hardy, zones 4 through 9 tolerant of shade and evergreen in all but the coldest winters. They grow 6 to 12 feet tall with arching canes and fine, feathery foliage that creates an effect that is exotic, architectural and completely unlike anything else in the garden. For a contemporary or minimalist garden style, clumping bamboo as a screen is one of the most striking choices available, and it requires no trimming, no shaping, no annual maintenance. Just water through the first season to help it establish, and then let it be. Tree 4, Lombardy Poplar. Number 4 is Lombardy Poplar, and this is the one I mentioned at the start, the fastest privacy solution I have seen. Lombardy Poplar grows 5 to 8 feet per year under good conditions, not a typo, 5 to 8 feet per year. A small tree planted at 4 feet tall in spring can be 10 to 12 feet tall by the end of summer in optimal conditions. In 2 to 3 seasons, a row of Lombardy poplars creates a tall, dramatic columnar screen that blocks sightlines completely. The form is iconic. Tall, perfectly upright columns of bright green that have been used in European landscape design for centuries, lining driveways in France, screening farmsteads across Italy, defining the boundaries of formal gardens across the continent. That classic, elegant vertical line, from a tree that costs a few dollars as a young specimen. Now, the honest conversation about Lombardy poplar: it is not a permanent tree. The lifespan is typically 20 to 30 years. It is susceptible to bacterial canker. And the roots are vigorous. Plant it well away from structures, drains and foundations. Minimum 15 feet from any building. Minimum 10 feet from drains. It is a fast solution, not a forever solution. But if you need privacy in 2 seasons while a slower, more permanent screen establishes alongside it, Lombardy poplar is the most effective fast option available. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Full sun, moist to well-drained soil, speed that nothing else on this list can match. Used thoughtfully, in the right location, it is genuinely transformative. Number 5 is holly, and holly as a privacy screen is one of the most underused and most undervalued combinations in gardening. Most people think of holly as a Christmas decoration, a few seasonal branches with red berries. What they overlook is that holly is a dense, structural evergreen shrub or small tree, with the hardest, most impenetrable foliage of anything on this list. Those spined leaves are not just visually solid, they create a physical barrier. A mature holly hedge is not something a person, an animal, or anything else is walking through. For gardens where privacy also means security, boundary marking, deterring access, holly does something no fence does for long, and no other tree on this list provides. It keeps things out. English holly, Ilex aquifolium, and American holly, Ilex opaca, are both excellent choices for tall screens. Sky pencil holly is a narrowly columnar Japanese variety that works beautifully in tight spaces with a naturally formal shape. For female varieties, those famous red berries appear in winter on a plant that is already doing its screening work year-round. Wildlife value is significant. Birds nest in the dense spined branches. Winter berries feed thrushes, redwings and fieldfares through the coldest months. A security screen, a wildlife haven, and a thing of genuine beauty in winter light. Hardy in zones 5 through 9 for most varieties. Full sun to partial shade, well-drained soil, slow to establish but long-lived and essentially permanent once settled. The privacy tree that also protects. 5 trees in, and number 6 is the one that changes the calculation entirely. Because every tree we have covered so far is purely a screen. It gives you privacy. That is all. Number 6 gives you privacy, structure, fragrance, flowers, wildlife, and one of the most extraordinary sensory experiences in any garden. Do not skip this last one. Tree 6, Portuguese laurel. Number 6 is Portuguese laurel, botanical name Prunus lusitanica, and Portuguese laurel is, in my opinion, the most complete privacy tree on this entire list. It does everything. It grows into a dense, formal evergreen screen with rich, glossy, dark green leaves on attractive, deep red stems. It responds beautifully to trimming and shaping, which means you can maintain it as a formal hedge, a loose natural screen, or trained as a standard tree with a clear trunk and cloud-pruned top. It gives you creative control that most conifers simply cannot offer. In late spring to early summer, it produces long, elegant racemes of small white flowers, hundreds of them, covering the whole plant in a fragrant display that fills the surrounding air with a light, sweet, almond-like scent. A privacy hedge that blooms. After flowering, small dark fruits follow, enjoyed by birds through late summer and fall. A privacy hedge that feeds wildlife. Portuguese laurel handles wind exposure well, making it one of the best choices for boundary planting in exposed gardens and coastal areas. It tolerates partial shade, it tolerates pollution, it handles clay soils better than most other screening trees, and it is genuinely long-lived. A Portuguese laurel hedge, properly established and maintained, will outlast any timber fence by decades. Hardy in zones 7 through 9. In zones 5 and 6, it benefits from a sheltered position or protection in the first winter or two. The privacy tree that is also a garden feature, the screen that blooms, the hedge that every spring reminds you exactly why you chose living over timber. This is the one I would plant first. 6 trees, all of them growing more valuable year on year, all of them available for less than a single fence panel. One final time. Number 1, Leyland Cypress, the fastest dense evergreen screen available. Trim it annually and it performs reliably for decades. Number 2, Emerald Green Arbor Vitae, naturally narrow, naturally tidy, no shearing required, the low-maintenance columnar screen. Number 3, Clumping Bamboo, Fagesia varieties only, no underground running, a graceful, exotic architectural screen that moves in the wind and requires almost no maintenance. Number 4, Lombardy Poplar, 5 to 8 feet of growth per year, the fastest privacy solution in gardening. Plant it with intent and in the right location. Number 5, Holly, dense, spined, impenetrable, the screen that is also a physical barrier, a wildlife haven and a winter garden feature. Number 6, Portuguese Laurel, the complete package. Evergreen screening, spring fragrance, wildlife value, creative flexibility, and a lifespan that outlasts everything else on this list. Here is what a privacy fence actually costs you. The installation, the repairs, the replacement every 10 to 15 years starting over. And through all of that you are looking at boards and panels. A flat surface, a dead surface, something that blocks the view without adding anything to it. Now picture looking out at a living screen instead. Emerald green through winter, white flowers in spring, birds nesting in the branches in May, berries in October, the whole thing getting fuller, denser and more beautiful every single year, while the neighbour's fence gets older, greyer and closer to replacement. That is not just a privacy solution, that is a garden asset. And it started with 6 trees and a decision to stop paying for something temporary when you could grow something permanent. If this helped change how you are thinking about boundaries today, hit the thumbs up right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners. Subscribe if you are not already. Practical, real-world planting content every single week. And drop a comment below. Tell me what is on your boundary right now. Fence, wall, or nothing at all. And which of these 6 trees you are considering. I want to know where you are starting from. I read every comment. See you in the next one.